What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the STR Intel podcast, where we talk about everything that is short-term rentals, vacation rentals. I'm here with my co-hosts Evan and Killian. Hey guys, what's going on? Where are you guys at today?
We're at Art Gallery, which is a very beautifully decorated house. It's got a lot of expensive art in it, which we usually don't recommend for Airbnbs, but it works out here because it's kind of more of a luxury home. It's a nicer home. So, but yeah, we're in Colorado Springs, and the smoke from, I guess, out west, and we've got pollen, we've got air pollutants. So I've got severe allergies. I just went to the doctor, and I think a lot of people do in town, but it's it's pretty intense.
That doesn't sound fun.
No.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
This episode's sponsored by Claritin. I've been running around on it for the last 2.5 weeks.
Claritin Clear.
Well, yeah, we've got some rough smoke coming over the mountains. So in terms of short-term rentals, make sure you're keeping your windows closed, your doors closed, you're changing out your air filters, and if you're highly sensitive, come with some Benadryl and some Claritin.
Well, you know what I was thinking? You know those Dyson air purifiers that they're like a circle or thing in the middle? But I'm going to go buy those for my own house. But I was thinking, wouldn't that be cool to have them in our short-term rentals, just to kind of promote like clean air, clean environment, like an extra amenity maybe in the luxury houses.
This isn't very funny.
It's just a home. A house purifier?
Yeah, just an air purifier, one of those Dyson ones you see at Target, or
those futuristic looking.
Is that just like a single room kind of thing?
It's like 1,000 square
feet. Or is it
feet.
for the whole?
Yeah. So,
nice.
So you could get it.
Get one of those.
Yeah, I know. Especially like with all this smoke. But anyways, we're talking about tech stacks, and so
stacks,
and how we use them in our business. You know, the way I think of a company or, you know, any small business today should be using tech alongside their employees. Like employees and technology should be combined together to achieve a result. And especially for this industry, because like we have such a logistically complex problem to solve. So we've, you know, just to frame the problem a little bit, we've got a dynamic inventory, which means each one of our houses is different, has a different set of furniture in the house. It's got a different layout. So like nothing is uniform. Our inventory is also geographically dispersed. So it's across the whole city, maybe multiple cities. And so just to frame the problem, like we've got to figure out how to clean all of those between each stay, how to do maintenance, how to do quality assurance. There's a lot that goes into it. We've even got to figure out how to market on multiple platforms. So we've got HomeAway, VRBO, Booking.com, all these different platforms, and they all have different policies.
For those real quickly who've never heard the word technology stack, because actually it's fairly new to me, break down what a technology stack is for someone who may never have heard that term before.
I mean, it's kind of just a fancy buzzword to describe, like, you know, you've got the set of technology you use in your business that you connect all your technology together. Maybe you want data transfer between them. The set of technology you and your employees use to accomplish your business result or your end product.
So maybe even a little, for those who are just learning it for the first time, picture a couple different apps or a couple different softwares talking to each other at once to achieve a common goal.
Yeah. Like Feed, our media team, they might use like Facebook, Asana, Google Analytics, Slack. You know, you've got intercompany communications, Slack and Google and Google Suite, Zoom. You've got what you use for operations, which for us it's like Breezeway. You know, for managing maintenance tasks and cleaning tasks. We've got Guesty, which helps, is a PMS that aggregates out to all the different channels we're on. So it's what type of technology are you using within your business? And then, we're taking it as far as, hey, we've got technology, but it doesn't solve all of our problems, right? So now we have to, and the technology doesn't exist out in the market to solve all of our problems. So we have to extend the tech stack. So we have to start building applications on top of that existing tech stack to accomplish our result. But yeah, I mean,
go ahead. What about for somebody that maybe they're just managing one or two, maybe even 3 STRs? Is this something they should even consider or even looking at a tech stack at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be looking at what what can they use technology wise to make their job easier as an Airbnb owner. They don't have to go as deep as we do because, we're approaching 200 homes in our management, and our problems just are bigger, right? So we have to have better technology to solve those problems.
I think you can also look at it too. There's some apps out there that'll help people do 1 home, 2 home, 3 homes. I feel like that threshold is like 3 to 5 homes. So there's some apps out there that are doing it, and you might be able to look at those as inside those apps. There's a bunch of little technologies trying to do a common goal. So some people are out there leveraging your more retail style tech stacks, if you will. Maybe they're there's a little app out there like B&B Clean. You can find cleaners. And that might be talking to their Airbnb account. So right there, they've started out building a tech stack. But when you go, like Evan was saying, to 200 homes, you're looking at a significantly more commercial-oriented tech stack to handle all these processes, from the dynamic pricing, talking to the 50 different calendars that are out there on the internet, which is then kicking that back to our accounting team, which is then being handled and communicated with our owner account management team and our guest communications team. And almost at each one of those little nodes is a whole new software that's talking to a different software.
Yeah. I'd say if you're like 1 to 5 Airbnbs, you just need to have the basics. You need to have a way of probably getting, your reservation accounting data into an accounting system so you can accurately know what you're making on your units. Otherwise, you're going to be doing that all by hand or by spreadsheets. So basically, maybe find a small PMS that's not too expensive for 5 units, and hopefully that PMS either has its own accounting system built in or has a connection to accounting system like QuickBooks. What else would a small, let's say like a 1 to 10 unit, either they're managing their own units or it's a small property management company, where do you think they should start?
Yeah, 1 to 10. I mean, I'm just trying to think back when we were at that point too, and it may have been, I think the most difficult thing at that time was managing probably the cleaning operations, scheduling and managing that. And then if you're on multiple platforms, coordinating those calendars, those inboxes together. That was probably the most difficult part at that point, 1 to 10. I mean, 1, if you just have 1 and it's on Airbnb, Evan, like you said, that like tech stack's just a buzzword. We all have tech stacks in our personal lives on our phone. We're using Google Calendar. It's not that crazy. So it's just taking, it's just leveraging more technology to automate things and make things easier in your own life. So what was some of the manual task things?
How about
manual
locks?
Data entry we were doing.
How about lock
Locks?
management?
Locks. I don't think we ever really went to use just keys or lock boxes. I think we went straight to, even from the very beginning, we went straight to auto locks, to the keypad auto locks, and I think we used the software at the very beginning as well. I don't remember what software, but
yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go into like why do we use tech stacks a little bit more too, and I think there's like 2 results here we're trying to accomplish. It's either automating, so improving internal processes. So we use the lock system like Philip was saying. We use that to automate, so we don't have to go in there and change codes manually for each guest. Like our system automatically grabs each phone number from every guest reservation and it ties it to the lock. So now every guest has their own basically lock code for every lock, and that helps us. It comes with many benefits. Now we've got security for the home. Our lock system even has a log for who's entered the home, so we know who's entering it. And now we can program different contractors, different, our onboarding specialist, our business development person. Now we can have a different code for all of them. So it's like, it's just creating operational efficiencies where, something that can be done automatically is done automatically. And it doesn't require like human intervention to get in there and to, program those locks manually. Because just imagine we have like, 25 to 50 check-ins a day. Imagine having to go in there and manually program the lock on each lock. Just
going to the physical property and manually putting that in.
Yeah,
If you want a better security product for your guests too. Yeah, it's a better product for your guests. I mean, I think I told the story about having to crawl under a house,
Yeah.
under a house in Denver to get to the lockbox, which was insane. But even just having to manage keys, I mean, guests could easily just walk away with a key that you
Yep.
have in a lockbox, and then you have to go replace that key, take it out there. So it's solving many problems on many fronts.
Yep.
But yeah,
And then taking that to like, you know, where we're at now, we're trying to solve problems like when there's a bad review, notifying, you know, we have different squad leaders. When there's a bad review, notify that person that there was a bad review so that they can immediately address it. And then the second one after automation and operational efficiencies would be data analytics, or let's call it, you know, big data science, or, you know, all those big buzzwords in the industry. Like you're trying to basically uncover core truths about your business. You're trying to collect data to, you know, make decisions on that data instead of making decisions, you know, off the fly. It's, you know, it's making the right decisions based on good data. Data driven is the word for it. So, but that's the second one. So, you know, being able to take our reviews and get good analytics on it. Like what are our key problems? Maybe we can use a word processing, you know, analyzer and analyze what are the keywords in our bad reviews that guests are saying. So now we know exactly what our problems are that we need to start solving, or what are we doing right, you know, in those reviews. So we can analyze, you know, keywords in our reviews and find out key truths about our business that would take, you know, a lot of manual data collection. Like, you know, imagine going through 5,000 reviews and trying to pull out keywords manually. It would just be very difficult. So
we've done it. It's not fun. It's not a good time at all.
do you see a lot of people asking about tech when they're first onboarding? I mean, I think they're usually trying to get us to solve that problem for them, and that's...
What's interesting is a lot of people are talking about technology just in the context of Airbnb, what they know from Airbnb or what they know from VRBO. So I think people have been doing it for a little bit longer. They may be balancing one or two apps, or may have learned how to take it a little bit step further, like just merging Airbnb and VRBO. But for the most part, when you begin talking about all the different technologies you can deploy on the back end to help these rentals have a process and be able to automate and walk away from, like you're talking about, I think that people go and they just go read about Airbnb, and it just kind of keeps their blinders on about some of the other solutions that might be out there that they could benefit from.
Well, and that's Airbnb's like end goal too.
Yeah, Airbnb is a quote unquote tech stack. You know, they're kind of the jack of all trades, and you could be in that space, or you could slowly start to branch out and say, hey, is there companies that spend all their time looking at dynamic pricing? Is there companies that spend all their time on trying to figure out how to project manage the logistics of coordinating maintenance and cleaning and scheduling and check-ins and check-outs? Is there a company that spends all their time doing just one thing instead of trying to be a jack of all trades?
Yeah, that's been my experience too with talking to people. Is Airbnb is pretty much the scope of tech that they know about when it comes to short-term rentals. And I think most people just don't know there's other technologies out there. A lot of them are brand new, just coming up. Yeah, and a lot of people aren't very tech savvy, so it can be very intimidating. I know some of the software and tech we've implemented has been pretty robust, but setup's been pretty time consuming. So, I mean, that's definitely one thing to keep in mind is it's going to be more initial work to get it set up, but it's going to save you a lot of time and probably money in the long run, incorporating some of these technologies.
Yeah, and that's Airbnb's single goal, is to get you to stay within their platform in this industry. They want to be the brand name, the household name for everything Airbnb, everything short-term rental. See, I even said it. I said Airbnb because
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's working.
Nothing wrong with it. They're doing a wonderful job, and it's an amazing platform to get your foot into starting to invest in short-term rentals. It's a kind of a vessel for you to dip your toe in the water.
Yeah, and that's what we typically see in PMS systems. It's like they try to be the jack of all trades. Like they try to build their own pricing software, their own accounting software, and their own, all different types of software. And it's like, I usually tend to go towards the people who are not, they're trying to build a marketplace of apps like Guesty. Like they're trying to build a marketplace and a ecosystem of basically these people that have spent all their lives, or they've dedicated their lives to solving this one specific problem for you. So now we have, like on Guesty, we have like 5 different pricing solutions.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that goes a lot better because, you've got the power of focus on all these individuals that are building this ecosystem.
Well, and we were talking about Guesty being almost the app store, like Apple's app store, where you're going to go on there and all these different technologies are going to be available. You can choose, you can look at their ratings. Maybe someone's using this pricing software and someone's using that pricing software. And maybe someone is relying on a different company to do their guest communications. Maybe they've outsourced it while someone chooses not to. And you'll be able to, you already can go in there and almost plug and play as if you're downloading apps. It's not quite that simple, but as if you were downloading apps on your phone.
Yeah, and it's like, I tend to think of our company as a cybernetic collective, which Elon Musk coined that term. And our job is basically, as managers and owners of this business, it's to figure out which apps are best to use, basically, which apps are the most effective at the specific goal we're trying to accomplish. But the second part is, how do we get an employee that's never used that app to be effective at using that app and to use it in the right ways? Because, like, we started out using Slack, which Slack is an intercompany communications tool. We started using Slack as a database, which it was like completely the wrong use of it. And didn't we just talked to another company and they're using Slack as a database, and it's like the wrong use for Slack.
Yeah, we learned that pretty quick, that it was really hard to keep up with. That was just the wrong method of using that. Yeah, that company, I think they said they had maybe 150 properties and they were using Slack, pretty much what we were using it for. I cannot imagine at that scale using Slack.
But it's like, the hard part is
I think we were even, Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think we were even storing check-in instructions for each property. We had an individual channel for every single property. Yeah, we were using it for everything pretty much. Yeah,
the hard part is figuring out, how do I train my employees correctly on these apps, and how do I get them to use this in the right way? Right now, we use Slack in a very effective way. It's like quick, instant communication, company-wide communication. That's what it's mainly used for, and it works great for that. But you can find yourself going on these rabbit holes of using these softwares all incorrectly. So it's not just about having the software; it's about using it in the right way and then training the employees on using it in the right way.
Wasn't there a point in time when Microsoft Excel was used to manage and schedule the cleaners?
We've probably used Microsoft Excel for about everything in the business.
That's a prime example. Microsoft Excel is one of the best tools out there. You can do incredible things with it, but when you start using the technology specific for the goal you're trying to reach, like moving from managing your cleaners on an Excel spreadsheet and your maintenance on an Excel spreadsheet to a program that's specifically designed to do it, like Breezeway, it just takes it to a whole nother level. And in some instances, you can kind of walk away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Breezeway is, everything's almost an Excel spreadsheet. It's just a database, the storage of information. So, but like what you get with Breezeway is now you have a log of everything that's happened. Now you have an easy record labeling system where you can pull up all of the maintenance records. You have a good scheduling system that automatically schedules.
You made a good point the other day. You also have the support of that company. So companies out there who are building out their own softwares might be building out clunky softwares, or it might be they also have to maintain and fix that software if issues and bugs pop up. When you're integrating numerous platforms together, they have their own tech support team to handle those issues.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you get basically these people that have dedicated their lives to building that specific problem to you to help you solve the problem. Why wouldn't you use that? It's
kind of like short-term rental management.
Yeah,
hand it over to a professional.
And what we've done is we've aggregated all these different solutions and created an amazing turnkey experience so people can have, they can sit on the beach and collect a check if they want to. And that's the type of service we've set up.
We talk about the vision of having Hosty almost push button easy for people. And so if it ever comes to fruition one day, maybe we'd have a Hosty app, and people are going to be interacting with that app. But behind the scenes, there's going to be many, many different little technologies supporting what on the surface is just going to seem like a push button service.
Yeah. I mean, what happens when you interact with like a company like Amazon? How often do you ever talk with someone? Or like DoorDash? How
Rarely
often?
ever.
I don't think I ever have talked to someone from Amazon.
Only once a week when I get my package stolen at the apartment complex. I'm not even kidding. But the support's great.
But it's like just for escalation issues. It's just for the big issues, right? Which
most of it
we don't want to ever lose
bots that take care of everything too. They have bots.
Exactly.
You don't really have to talk to people anymore at all. It's mostly just bots, and they're pre-automated, pre-filled out questions that respond to your questions.
So true.
Which we don't want to ever like lose our personal touch in our industry, because like we're in hospitality too, and our owners are entrusting a very large asset to us, so that requires a relationship and trust. But we can make it such that it's very easy. It's almost like a monolithic tech stack that's been built like DoorDash or Amazon. Like it's that easy to use our product, and you can still communicate with us as well.
Man, that was beautiful.
But that's the goal.
We should put that at the end of the podcast.
One thing I wanted to say too for people building their tech stack, make sure you test out what you're going to be using. Spend a week or two testing it out, make a decision then. Don't just jump in because you got a referral. You may find out that once you get it, because like I was saying, implementation and setup can take a lot of time. So you may go through all this work and find out it's not the right tech for you. It's not the right product for you, because we've done that many times. I want to say, what was it? Not properly. What was that? The cleaning app that we used where people took pictures. I don't know if you remember what that was, Evan. Was it Properly or something like that? I can't remember what it was called.
I think it was Properly, and I haven't heard anything about them. Like it's almost like they're gone.
We used it for a couple of weeks, and it just wasn't the right software. It just didn't work very well. So take some time to test it out too.
And
looking at
a lot of people too, they get caught up in the cost, because all these softwares have their own cost. They get caught up in like, oh, it's going to be $100 a month to use this. And what I would say to that is just do a ROI cost analysis. Like how much time are you spending on doing this one thing, and how does this automate the time you're spending? And if like the cost doesn't make sense, or, look at it too as like, what is your headache as well? Like, are you spending a few hours on this a week, and maybe it still costs more to have that, but your opportunity cost of the time you're spending on doing that would be so much better if you spend it somewhere else.
And research too, what you're touching on, Phil. I've sat through probably 4-hour-long presentations, not 4 hours long, but 4-hour-long presentations from some of the leading pricing software companies that are out there in this industry. And you go through one, and maybe they're doing something really well, and then you go to the next one, and maybe they're doing something very well. You go to the next one, and they're doing something very well. Each one is doing something slightly better than the other one. So take a look at that return. Don't just each one's got their little buzzword that they're going to focus on. And at the end of the day, what are you trying to accomplish? You're trying to get the best pricing, and maybe you don't need all the bells and whistles and all the extra things that come with it, or the beta parts of their software that are still yet to come out, because something with maybe it doesn't have the best interface or look as fancy, it's still accomplishing the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, people can promise anything. You don't know until the rubber meets the road. So you actually test it out. Does it do what they said it's going to do?
Well, what's interesting is you go through them all, and some of them, and it's nothing against them, because we're unique in Colorado Springs. We have all the data for Colorado Springs almost. A lot of what they do is backdoor with property management companies to kind of vacuum up their organic data. And so when you look at some of the areas that we have the market share in, they really don't have a reference point to compare it to. It's our data. We sit on it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like this pricing software is trying to come in and say they're gonna
it's almost,
price better than we can, but they're using our data to price.
Give us your data so we can price your home.
Scraping.
Yeah, they're just using our data. Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, interview or look at 3 to 4 different softwares. There's a lot of them out there. Each one's gonna have different bells and whistles. Each one's gonna be a good fit for you, may not be a good fit for you.
Right. Yeah. I think I know. Who you're talking
We
about.
made the mistake of going with we made the mistake of going with the cheaper option when it comes to PMS. We went with the cheaper one, and it ended up being a bad move. It didn't work very well.
It was about a year-long mistake of pain by choosing to go with them. Yeah.
And I think that's honestly the only reason we chose it, because it was cheaper at the time. So you learn as you go. Trial by error.
You get what you pay for sometimes. It's actually true.
Sometimes, yeah.
Is there any software that you guys started out with that we still use aside from kind of just the basics like Slack? Because we've moved project management software, I believe, has changed. Actually, maybe the pricing software has stayed the same.
You mean like first year of business?
Yeah, because the lock software has changed. We've
Everything's
upgraded.
changed.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
There's no software we first started out with.
Other than Airbnb and our aggregation
the
channels,
OTAs.
like everything has been the same. Yeah.
No, it's been different.
Or, I mean, different. It's been different. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm going
if it had
crazy.
been the same, we would not be as big as we are now.
No.
We probably would have went out of business if we stuck with that old PMS. We would have just got
anything. I promised. We were getting double bookings every day. It was a nightmare. I think we had on Christmas Eve, we had a house that had 3 or 4 families show up at the same time that were all double bookings.
And it was like, why are these double bookings coming in? And
it was like a 10 people in each party. So we had like 30 or 40 people outside this house.
That's a block party.
And they were all furious.
And it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and people are crying. They just drove from Texas. It's
like an Adam Sandler movie.
And we can't necessarily see all the double bookings either. Like they were just coming and like saying, "Hey, we booked," and we're like, "We don't even see your reservation." That's how bad this PMS was.
Yeah. Just nothing there. We're like, who are you? I have no record of you booking this whatsoever.
Gosh. Well, hey, real quickly, I want to give a shout out to one of our latest or newest homeowners. His name is Jamel. Just had his second little newborn, and he's going on to have his first short-term rental. It's his first investment property, and he's handing it over to us. I just onboarded it, and he gave us a really nice compliment about our podcast. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, very flattering.
Cool. Well, let's kind of recap here because we're quickly running out of time. But so we talked about tech stacks. We talked about analyzing the different costs, analysis, and opportunity cost of your time using tech stacks. We talked about what a tech stack was. We talked about some applications and such that we use to solve our problems within the industry. And did you have anything you guys wanted to add to that?
Stacks on stacks,
Yes.
Stacks on stacks.
Stacks on stacks.
Build tech stacks.
Build empires.
But awesome. Well, thanks for taking a listen, everybody. And we will be back next week with STR Intel.